All right, this lesson is on sets of numbers. The first slide here is on classifying numbers in the real number system. So this is a Venn diagram where it shows the real number system. Within the inner circle are the natural numbers. They start with the number 1, 2, 3. Then we work our way out to the whole numbers. 0 is added in, and then 1, 2, 3. And then we go out to the pink where it has the integers. We add in numbers like 9 square root of 49, -2, -5. And then we go to rational numbers in the yellow, and then irrational numbers. So what I have on the next slide here are the explanation of those numbers and some notations. So rational numbers have a shortened notation, the letter Q. Irrational numbers have the short notation Q prime. Irrational numbers do not repeat or they end in a decimal. So the decimals do not repeat or they end. Where rational numbers, the decimals do not repeat. Oh, there's a little typo there. This should say do not end. So say do not end. Where rationals do end. So just change that there, do end. Integers are -2, -1, 0, 1, 2. Whole numbers, we just add in that 0, and then natural numbers, we get rid of the 0. And then here are those symbols for the real, rational, integer, whole, and natural. And then here are some of those examples. So again, notice here's that pi. Pi is a very popular irrational number. Rational numbers, we think of them as like your fractions. And those fractions are nice fractions like 0.75, something that has a nice stop, where an irrational number kind of goes on forever. Okay, moving on. If you see this symbol here, this little, looks like a little E, that E represents elements in the set. And this is how it is read. A little bit more explanation of rational numbers. Can be written as a fraction or a quotient, where irrational numbers such as the square root of 2 or pi cannot be written as a fraction. Those decimals do not terminate, or they have this repeating decimal. Okay, the next topic is moving into set notation. So roster notation are numbers that you can just list out. Brackets or closed circles are numbers that are included in the set. Parentheses or open circles represent numbers that are not included in the set. And then intervals such as -infinity, we always read those left to right. So we're going to be looking at number lines and graphing those on number lines and writing them in inequalities, set builder notation, and we look at inequalities when it's in -infinity to infinity. We always want to use in parentheses, and there will not be any circles. This symbol here represents greater than, and we would use a parentheses and we'd have an open circle. This symbol represents less than, and we would use a parentheses and we'd have an open circle. This represents less than or equal to, we'd have a bracket and we'd have a closed circle. This represents greater than or equal to, we would have a bracket and then a closed circle. All right. So because infinity and negative infinity are not numbers, they can't be included in a set. So the parentheses are used to include them in an interval. Here is an example of a table that shows some methods of representing the intervals. And we'll do some examples together also. So here's just a nice example of the representation. So the first example here says, in words, numbers less than 3. So on the number line, you're seeing that open circle. It's not including 3. It's less than. And then we have our inequality, x is less than 3. And then as an interval, you're seeing that negative infinity where it starts until 3. The next example, numbers greater than or equal to negative 2. So we have that closed circle, greater than. And then we write this as x greater than or equal to negative 2. And now notice this is a bracket right here, and then going to negative infinity. The third example, numbers between 2 and 4. So it's not including 2, so it's an open circle. It's not including 4, so it's an open circle. And then we say here, look, we have our inequality, and then we have our interval. No, these are parentheses. We're not including them, so they're parentheses. Our last one, numbers 1 through 3. So these are included. So these are going to be closed circles. And then here it is as an inequality. I don't know, these are brackets because they're including 1 and 3. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and complete this in our notes. Write this in interval 2 as an inequality. So the left-hand side is including negative 3 because it's a bracket. So I like to do the number line first. So I find negative 3. So that's including it. So I'm just going to go right above it. It's including it. I'm going to close circle that. And then it's going to stop just before 5. And it's an open circle because it is a parentheses. Notice that it's parentheses. So an open circle, and it's all the numbers right in between there. And then when we write it as an inequality, we always go smallest to largest. The x goes in the middle, and then it's greater than or equal to less than 5. Next example, we say this is x greater than 8. It's not including 8, so it's going to be an open circle greater than 8. So now we write that as an interval. We start at 8. It's not including 8, so it's a parentheses, comma, greater than, so it's going to infinity. All right, now we're going to go ahead and complete this table. So we're giving you an inequality on the left. We want you to graph it on the number line, write it as an interval, and then complete the words. So the first one says x is greater than 5. So I'm just going to put 5 on the number line, just a little sketch. It is not including 5, so I'm going to put an open circle, and it's going greater, so it's going to the right. And then it's not including 5, so I'm going to put a parentheses, and then going to the right, so positive. So I'm just doing a quick little shortened version here, numbers greater than 5. The second one, x is greater than or equal to 5. Sorry, 3 there. So I'm going to put 3 on the number line, and it is including it because that's the line underneath it. So I'm going to put a closed circle, greater than or equal to. So now we're going to put that bracket, because including it, and it's going to the right. So now it's numbers greater than or equal to. All right. The next one is now less than 2. So it's going to go to the left. It is not including 2. So we always go left to right. So it's negative infinity, comma, 2. It does not include 2, so we have a parentheses. So it's numbers less than 2. All right, the next one, put the number 0. This is saying x is less than or equal to 0. So close circle, less than or equal to. So negative infinity starts it, comma, 0. We do a bracket because it includes 0. So it's numbers less than or equal to 0. Now we have a number between -3 and positive 4. So -3 and positive 4. It does include both of those. So close circle, close circle. So we have a bracket and a bracket. So it's numbers from -3 to 4. All right, our last one here. I probably should say here numbers through. I'll fix that here a little bit. Numbers -3 through 4. Okay. And then our last one here, we're starting at -2 to 5. Now notice that that does not have a line underneath that -2, so it's an open circle, and then to a closed circle. So it's going to be a parentheses, comma, to a bracket. So it's numbers greater than -2 and less than or equal to 5. So that's the way I'd probably write that one.